Hey folks, Cool18 here, and welcome to Let's Try some Age of Wonders 3 pre-release edition. Officially, the game doesn't come out for another 2 or 3 weeks. I'm really excited to be playing it today. Keep in mind, this is a pre-release build, so there could always be bugs and glitches. Now, I'm going to be loading up the very first campaign mission here. First storyline mission. It starts you off really slow, introduces you to the basics, and we'll just play through this mission and see how it goes. And if you guys want to see more, let me know down in comments below. What we can do is open up some of the sort of randomized not scenarios, but just like skirmish kind of play that you can do, not storyline stuff. I don't want to spoil anything before the game gets released. So we're currently playing a Sundren of House Iniok, and we are a high elf. And right now we're here to attend a bit of a peace discussion where my brother Thanos, who's the heir to the throne, he's going to be participating in the peace treaty while we go around, we clean up a little bit of a bandit problem that's going there. So, Your Highness, Gamblag's domain. So Gamblag is the orc shaman whose territory guards the place where the discussions will be. Gamblag's domain is forbidden to all outsiders for the duration of the council talks. Prince Thanos requests that you can take care of the bandits we discovered in the woods. His scouts have located their hideout. Lead us, Your Highness. We are yours to command. So, and then Sundren replies, strange that Gamblag, God, I hate that name, Gamblag, ugh. Hard to say, and it just looks dumb, would allow brigands this close to the sacred pool. The elven court trusts him to protect those that travel there, or here. I suppose that we can do this job while he hosts the talks. We will need to strike at the brigands quickly before they grow in strength and overrun these woods. There we are. And this being the first mission, we get plenty of little sort of hints on the side. If we click on those, it pop-ups almost like a quest type thing, and it's got hyperlinks where we can click on to get additional information, you know, hey, what's an army, and so on and so forth. I'm going to go ahead and dismiss that, and the other hints as well. I am a leader, yes, and the Tome of Wonders, which is simply the help documentation that you can see up here. Really quite good help doc with a lot of information, which is important in this game, especially when you talk about these, what am I looking for? Unit abilities and such. Like, there's so many different abilities that units can have in this game, it's just ridiculous. Let's go ahead and merge up our army here. So I'm going to take, right now, this is my hero here, Sundren, my leader of House Iniok, and I'm going to move them onto the army because there was a stack of 5 there. I've combined together. 6 is the cap on your army size. However, it's definitely not the cap on the battle size. This is, by the way, a turn-based game, very sort of a Fantasy 4X kind of game. There is, technically, what is it? Control G. It is a hex-based game over here, although I find on the overland map I don't really use the hexes. I like them in the tactical battle, which we will see really very soon. So if I go ahead and click on Sundren over here, I can get her information. Now, because she is a leader, a hero type, she even has inventory and everything equipped. To compare that to a High Elf Storm Sister over here, or one of the Union Guards, or the Swordsmen, or the Longbowmen, for example, they don't have actual inventory. But you notice on the left-hand side, everyone's got a collection of traits. For example, everyone that I have in this group here is a High Elf. And it gives you a little bit of information about who they are. Now, the unit types, these sorts of characteristics don't, or this characteristic here, for example, doesn't have any direct and immediate effect in combat. Compared to something like Forestry, which allows us to move through forests faster. This unit is armored, so it's got +2 armor, for example, so that's the armor status over here. The defense resists physical damage, and resistance is what resists non-physical damage. So basically, this is your defense against magic-y kind of stuff, and this is your defense against actually being whacked in the head by a sword or an arrow or something like that. So these swordsmen, or these longbowmen, actually are armored, so they get +2 armor there, but yeah, there are various armor-piercing effects. And they have a vulnerability to blight, which is sort of like poison, noxious stuff. And they've got a couple of attacks. They can shoot a longbow, and they've got a melee strike. So their melee strike has a base damage of 6, and their longbow has a base damage of 9. So we can click through and see a few different ones. It's quite notable for our leader here. Has got a few extra abilities. Shoot Dart she has because she has a nefarious blowpipe. She doesn't naturally have a ranged attack. She only has a ranged attack because she's got a blowpipe on her, which is kind of interesting. You know, so these items can unlock quite a bit of things. Also, so she's got the leader ability, she's got a special bonus for backstab if she's doing a flanking attack. She's immune to mind control because she's our leader. She's got fast heal, is mounted, it's got cavalry, and it's got the ability to perform a charge. The first strike in melee combat if the unit moved 4 or more hexes this turn, so she'll do a crazy amount of melee damage. That happens. She does also have the blight weakness as well. I guess maybe they're so close to nature that it's a bit of a problem. So here's the teleporter I could use to hop across the river here to go into Gargblag's realm, but we're not going to be doing that because it's currently shut down for the talk, so that's fine. In fact, if I go here, I believe there'll be a little sign. Welcome to the Vale of the Pool. Temporarily closed for visitors. Teleporter deactivated. But my mission is over here. You can see the little cup, so we're going to head in this general direction. Can't walk right through because of the Fog of War. Here we've got a stash of mana, which is nice. Actually, we should take a look at what spells we may have. Poison Mastery I could turn on. It's a strategic spell. It's a world enchantment. Will affect all my units throughout the world. It does take 60 mana crystals, mana or mana, depending on where you're from, to cast. It also uses up 60 casting points. Basically, the casting points is how quickly you can cast spells. So this is going to take me 2 turns to cast. So presumably I have something like 30 casting points. I'm sure there's somewhere that'll tell me, but I can't see it at a glance. So the more casting points you have, the faster you can actually cast a spell. Because some spells might take like 10 turns to cast if you don't have a whole lot of that, for example. So anyway, this will linger around. It will cost me 8 mana per turn to upkeep, but all of my infantry and irregular units will get +2 poison damage, basically, and that's pretty cool. I can also toggle on treasure rating, which would actually cost me 10 mana per turn. Right now, that's all I'm producing, but would give me mega rewards from all sites. I'm going to go ahead and start on Poison Mastery because I like that. I can also start to research a spell. Now, what's interesting about these, they're new skills. They're not spells. Some of them will be. For example, I think everything with this sort of like sunburst kind of effect here, these are spells. So the ability to summon Grimbeak Crows, the ability to terraform terrain, for example, the ability to cast the corpse eluding strategic spell, which, it's very much like something else. Oh, like the spell I could cast, right? The treasure thing, except this is every time I kill a unit, I get a bit of money. Well, that's very cool. And that's because my character is a rogue. These are some of these abilities are abilities that are unlocked because I am a rogue. Maybe all of them are, I don't know. And then there's these sort of building-looking ones, which unlock an empire-wide upgrade. So here, all irregular units would gain a +1 vision range. This one here would give me more spell casting points. There we go. So I could cast more spells per turn, or simply big spells, I could cast them faster. It doesn't give me more mana, just the ability to burn through the mana faster. And advanced logistics here is quite expensive. We take 21 turns to research. Would give me mega improved movement on roads, but I think I'll stay away from that. This would unlock courtesan ambassadors. Oh no, receives a permanent relation boost with independent cities, which makes them more friendly. Oh, that's very cool. Quick Dash is a spell I can cast in combat on a unit that restores 10 health and 50% of their movement points. So I could sort of like move somewhere, cast this on them, which heals them, but also gives them some movement points back, assuming I'm understanding this correctly, which I'm not sure that I did. I would like... You know what I'm going to do? I might just pick up Scout Training. It's relatively cheap. It's pretty handy. No, you know what we're going to want? More casting points, always good. And yeah, we've got our quest here to hunt the bandits over here. I know, thank you very much. And that's it. So all my units have moved at this point. I've used up all my movement on this turn. This is the turn on the strategic map over here. Combat will happen on the tactical map, as we'll see very shortly. So I'm going to skip to the next turn. We've now burned 1 more turn of spell casting. It tells me spell is preparing. I always have the option of aborting the spell if I've changed my mind. And tells me that an army is waiting my orders, which is right over here. Now, you might have noticed that it was processing other empires' turns right there. If this were in multiplayer, everyone plays simultaneously. Well, there's 2 modes. You can have simultaneously or the classic mode where you go one at a time. The advantage to simultaneous mode is that you don't have to wait for one player, then another player, then another player to finish their turns before you can go. It doesn't really matter too much in the single-player campaign. Because the AI is going to move like relatively instantly anyway. So anyway, let's go ahead into the bandit camp and engage in our very first fight. So, we're being told that we're engaging some independent forces. These are nothing that are controlled by players. We have the option of going, well, we can flee and just abort our attack, cancel that. We can also highlight attack, which actually I don't know what that does. And we can't access the book right now. I'll have to look that up. I don't want to misclick on something that'll do something weird. We can auto-combat, in which case the computer will simply instantly resolve the combat for us based on, you know, our relative forces and various other factors. I don't know if it actually simulates it all in the background or if it just does the statistical analysis or what. I hope it actually simulates the whole thing in the background and then just returns it instantly. And if you're someone who just wants to do sort of empire management, that'll be your go-to button. But for most people, you'll want to go into manual combat at this point, because this is really where a lot of the meat in these games are. So, Sundren of House Iniok attacked Independence. So there's a bit of a cutscene as we go in here. It looks like they've got a little bit of a camp going on with just some wooden palisades, wooden walls. So they're going to get to move first. Looks like we have 20 casting points available in combat. I guess that answers your question as to how many casting points you've got. That's the other thing. The more casting points we'll have, the more spells we'll be able to cast in combat. So there we go. We've got our book has opened up, reminding us about how the combat works. And it's actually quite interesting. There's a lot of complexity to the combat. Our units here have 3 action points available. And here you can see our movement range. And if I stop in the green range, I will still have 3 action points available. If I stop in the yellow, I'll only have 2. And if I stop in the orange here, I'll only have 1 action point left. And if I stop in the circle on the outside, ooh, I might be lying. I was going to say I'll have none left whatsoever, but that actually might not be quite right. Combat. Combat. I may have, actually, you know what I'm going to do right away? I'm just going to move to the green, say, straightforward here. Yeah, I do still have 3 action points left. Okay, I think maybe I'll still have 1. Let's find out. I just played through, but I didn't actually pay that much attention to what was going on. Okay, so I've got Sundren here, my leader type. And she can do a lot. She's quite good at melee combat, actually. She's got a lot of hit points. She does a fair amount of damage. We know she's got that charge attack as well, which is really cool. But rather than charging in, I could also cast a spell. I'm going to go ahead and do that here. Now, I don't have to have her selected for that because I am her. I am she. So I can cast a spell. But regardless of if I cast it with her selected or not, it will use up her entire turn to do that. But let's go ahead and do that. Right now, I've only got 1 combat spell. It's the Rain of Poison Blades. Rains down armor-piercing blades covered in poison. Deals 12 physical damage and 8, what was that called? Toxic damage? Toxin? Corruption? Poison? I don't know. Poison damage to the target enemy unit. Deals an additional 2 damage against armored units. So, ideally, you target armored units, although at the same time, they're also going to have a higher defense. So I think it more or less kind of just breaks even. So we'll go ahead and cast that. Take 10 mana and 10 casting points. And then we just drop it on a target. Now, it does give you a sort of preview of how much damage you'll do. It reminds me this human scoundrel has 35 hit points. This will do 10 to 14 physical damage and 6 to 10 blight damage. That's the name of it. And if we look around, it looks like no matter... Well, they're all human scoundrels, so it doesn't matter who I target. I may as well grab one of the guys closer to the front and nail him with, like... Seriously! Like, could you imagine you're this person? Some random stranger shows up at your little camp and then, like, daggers start to fall from the sky? Bad times, bad times. Before I use the Storm Sisters, I'm going to see if I can use the Swordmen here to charge. Well, I don't know if they have an actual charge. No. They actually have wall climbing ability, though, which will come in really handy later on. I'm going to go ahead and attack the barriers here. What do we have here? Okay. I'm going to attack that and try to get rid of this barrier, because right now the barrier is blocking line of sight to the guys behind it. Plus, not to mention, I can't really reach them. So we're going to see if we can't scooch forward here. Still out of range. Is the circle the range? Oh, it is! I hadn't realized that. That's what these circles represent. It's the attack range available. So now I've got these guys in range, and so we're going to give them a shot. If I had, like, if I try to shoot one of the guys... let me scooch forward with this archer here. And... again. There we go. So... there we go. Hard to select them. You can see this guy, because there's a line of sight penalty, you do 50% less damage, which we don't want to do. You'll also notice there's a bit of a multiplier next to that. It says 7 to 11 times 2, and it's because I have 2 action points. It will fire twice. Shooting and using any real activated ability always uses up the rest of your movement, but most attacks will simply, like, use each one of those multiple times. It tells you right there, can trigger up to 3 times, which is your action points. So, an arcing shot seems to be giving me +1 to range strength, so that's nice. Go ahead and nail them. And, oh, we finished them off, which is fantastic. And so this archer is now out of turns. We're going to skip to this longbowman. No. The storm sister. There we go. So this is another melee unit. They're pikemen, actually. Very effective against mounted units. Good, good, good. And they get first strike. First strike when defending unless the attack... So if you've got... if your units usually retaliate when they're attacked, although there's a limit to how much they can do based on action points and different things like that. So it looks like normally the attacker goes first and then the defender hits back, but except with first strike, which these pikemen do, they would actually get first shot. So they're really going to be quite good on the front lines. So we'll bash through another wall there and then go back to our longbowmen. Having a bit of difficulty. There we are. We'll fire an arcing shot at them. Good. And then finally my Sisters of the Storm here, or Storm Sisters. They've got a stunning touch that they can use in melee range. It seems to do some sort of like holy damage and stuns them. It's interesting that it's a different type. I assume resistance still works against that though. And they can also cast shock bolts at range. They've got a support class. Oh, just an indicator. They're generally weaker in hand-to-hand combat, but they tend to do other things. They've got night vision. So +2 vision range in the underground. We'll have to make sure to bring them with us there when we're going around. They've got true sight, so it allows them to see concealed and invisible units. Okay, no, they're fantastic. Even if they were no good in combat at all, probably bring them. Oh, here we've got a ranged penalty. Why? Oh, because of the range. You can see the little dots in the air turn from green to yellow. So... I guess I've got to choose. If I move, I will do one less attack. On the other hand, I will hopefully be able to get rid of the range penalty. Let's scooch forward a little bit. Still out of range, so I think we'll have to sacrifice another attack here by moving ever so slightly closer. There we go. So only one attack, but it'll hit full strength. I guess one attack versus 2 attacks at 50% penalty kind of break even. Now I'm actually risking these a little bit by bringing them close, but we'll see what the opponents do. Independents are moving. Now, there's also the 3 hexes in front of a unit do provide sort of like an area of control that would be familiar to maybe anyone who played D&D or anything like that. In that, so these guys here are currently facing this hex, which means if there was an enemy standing here, here, or here, and they tried to leave, if they tried to walk out of that hex, this unit would automatically get an attack on that. Which is pretty great. And again, I talked about these units doing counterattacks, which we will see if we move in over here, which I will do. I'll move this unit. Will that actually use up my move? I think it will, won't it? We'll find out. No, I can still attack. Good. Yeah, we've got 1 point left over. So these guys... You can, okay, here's a good example. If I attack this fellow, because I'm still in his forward hex, he will counterattack. So we do normal damage, which is 10 to 14 damage, which will be maybe about half their health. And they will be able to counterattack me. Right, it says target will retaliate. And that's because at the end of their turn, they basically get their 3 action points back. That's when it regenerates, at the end of their turn. And so they will use those action points to retaliate. So I will attack them, they will attack me back. That will use up one of their action points, which they won't have access to in the following turn. And eventually they will run out. See, if I had 3 units here, I could hit them 3 times. They will retaliate each time, but then on their turn, they won't be able to do anything because they'll have burned through all their AP. So they'll sort of be stuck in position, which is an interesting way to pin down people. Furthermore, over here, I'm going to be flanking this scoundrel because I'm attacking from behind. You'll notice the base damage is higher. It'll be 11 to 17 instead of 10 to 14. Not only that, you'll notice there's no pop-up here telling me that they will retaliate because they can't do that. Well, maybe because I'm going to insta-kill them, but because I was going to say, normally they can retaliate. However, it costs an action point for them to rotate and face me. So I'm actually not 100% sure what's going on there, other than the possibility that maybe I'm insta-killing them. Or I've misunderstood something, which is entirely possible. Alright, so we've got that. I'm going to hit N to pick the next unit, which is the Longbowmen. I'm going to try to bring them over here to the side of the wall, and they're still getting a line of sight penalty. Which I don't think I can overcome. Let's step over here. Yeah. Well, take a shot anyway, even if you do 50% less damage. And what is this? Ooh, crippled. What is that? This unit has -8 movement. Wow. So, okay, hold on. Let's take a look at these scoundrels here. Inflict crippling wounds. Melee and range attack can cause the target to be crippled. They lose 8 movement for 2 turns. Oh, that is brutal. Let's get the Mariner ability. Embarking does not make the unit subject to the -4 strength penalty. They're humans, they're regulars, they've got the wall climbers, fast healing. Fast healing out of combat? +6 health per turn. I think this is out of combat, not in combat, but I might be wrong. Well, can we shoot them from here? Out of range. In range, but still a line of sight penalty. You know what, let's just use these guys. Since they're already pretty heavily hurt, and I'd rather not sacrifice them anymore, we'll smash down the wall. There we go. And get a nice set of shots at range here. Boom! And blow them up pretty easily. Okay, excellent. Successful first combat, obviously not very difficult, since it is, again, this one mission is acting very much like a kind of a tutorial thing. So Thanos is congratulating me. Well done, sisters. They will not trouble anyone anymore. The talks are not bearing fruit at all yet. I don't like it. Most lords do not seem inclined to even listen to us. I will try to find out what their true motives are. Next. Brigands missing. Thank you, brother, and good luck with that. However, it seems I have not finished yet. It is apparent that a number of brigands were not accounted for, and there are many tracks leading south. There's a high elf village there, Eldast, which may be in danger. Alright, so that was the outcome of our combat. We killed 3 people. We didn't lose anyone, although we took heavy damage on our high elf Union Guard. We can replay the combat, and oh yeah, we can center on the combat. Oh, that's probably what that is. The highlight button probably just does this bloop bloop. We'll try it next time and see if that's the case. Hunt Bandits is completed. We got a bit of reward there, and we can take a reward. So they have dropped an Emerald Band of Ruggedness, which gives 60% blight protection. Now we can sell it for gold right away and get 68 gold, or we can take the reward. We'll go ahead and take it because we have no items yet. So items on the ground, you can see it here. I'm going to click on that. It highlights the gem or the accessory slot. I could also just put it in our backpack. Let's go ahead and put it in the accessories. And there we have it. We've got a quest now to make our way to Eldstadt, which is over here, and that is the end of the turn, and if I'm not mistaken, I will go ahead and put a cut in this video, and we will continue this next time. See you folks, bye-bye. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, leave a comment. Did you know I read every single comment someone leaves on my video? That's insane. Why would I do that? I don't know, but I'll read yours.